Hi there, and welcome to another episode in the series of Utopian Conversations. And today I'm going to be having a Utopian Conversations with Kuang-Yi. So, Kuang-Yi, how you doing, mate?
I'm good. Thank you. Today's very hot, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah. Mhm.
Now, we met each other in 2018 because I was attending a SIETAR Congress in Krzyżowa, and he was like part of the organizational team behind this. So Kuang-Yi, do you want to say something about your work and what you have to do with SIETAR?
I am not doing anything specific in that time. I was just a member of SIETAR Polska. And for now, I'm doing, since 2017, I started to do some kind of cultural engagement activities. What I do is I would talk to like pupils in the elementary school. When I had a chance to visit them, I will prepare some presentation about my culture, where I'm from, what kind of language I talk, and also some geographic knowledges. So for people who know where exactly I'm from, how far I have been traveling, and to start with that. And also I will introduce the Mandarin Chinese languages and also show those students how to use the traditional brush to write their names. Yeah.
And it's Taiwan you're from, yeah?
Yes. I'm from Taiwan. It's a very tiny island in the middle of the ocean. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's been a bit in the news lately, hasn't it? So, so let's just get straight to it. What's your utopia, mate?
Utopian? Well, that's a big question. Utopian for me, I feel that utopia, everyone has their own version of utopia. I believe so. Everyone wants something from here, wants something from there, and everybody build their own country, like Asgardian, like the from the comic from the Marvel movie, the Asgardian. Everybody has their own version of the country where everybody love each other, where everybody talk peacefully, where everything is prosperous. There's no poorness. But for me, the utopian is more like the mind, the status of my mind. Am I able to talk to or communicate to or even to live with people who are different from me? I mean, for myself, I live in Poland. Polish people definitely see me as totally different people. But what I feel is it's really not based on how different we are, but more importantly is are we going to talk to each other to find out what is the difference? So for me, utopian is more the mind, the status of the mind. Are we open enough, or are we very closed and conservative that we refuse to see any new things? Yes.
And that's an interesting word, because I was just thinking about it today, because I'm seeing, like, I'm active on Twitter, and I'm seeing there's like massive conflicts taking place at the moment, but among progressive people. And I'm kind of thinking there's like an addiction to like one's own point of view, or maybe one could take it a bit further, like an addiction to one's ego. So what you're talking about, it sounds a bit like, okay, almost like in some way renouncing one's ego because one is making the effort to get into their world and to understand what they're about. Have I understood that right?
I think that is the only things I can offer to share what I observe. But at the same moment, I don't expect people will say, "Oh, cool, that's fine by me." For me, is the first step is to listen to what other people need to say.
Yeah.
And then you process, and of course, everybody take whatever they can handle. Like they accept part of the value instead of embracing all. So everybody take a little piece and process it. And then people usually say, oh, I like that part of your mentality. I like that part of your tradition. And from my observation, in these few years, the whole world become a buffet of culture. Like everyone take a little part of something, like they like it, they take it, they say, oh, this part of the culture is good. And that's pretty much enough for people. But besides that, there's nothing else I can do to change that, honestly speaking. Yeah.
So it's like you're offering something and they kind of, they're free to choose what they take from that or not. I think it's like an interesting perspective, because when one thinks of like national cuisine, it's often like some things have been taken from some degree elsewhere. I mean, one talks about, okay, what is like the Polish food, for example, like pierogi as like one example. But pierogi, of course, is also eaten in Belarus, also in Ukraine, also in Russia, like barsht, barsht ukraiński, which is not, of course, the Ukrainian barsht, but even though one calls that like in Polish, because it's with vegetables in Poland and in Ukraine with meat. But there is this kind of, okay, where does this thing belong? Well, some things don't belong in one like specific place, yeah?
I agree with that. I think that sometimes we forgot to think, maybe this way. Sometimes we forgot that even though we are different, like me and you are different, but we live in the same planet. So to think about, so if you put yourself in this content, you will not feel so strange that what I have in my culture, and I could find similar things in your culture. That what I eat, for example, dumplings or pierogis, we created the food in this way, and I wouldn't be so surprised that I see the similar things in Ukraine. Even though we are so apart from each other, but we both have wheat, we both have pork, we both have vegetables, and there's no need to be so shocked that, oh, you also have this. But what is interesting for me is to embrace that part that, hey, I'm so happy that in your culture, in your food, I have something very similar. I like that part. Like bring me and other people closer. Yeah.
I'm seeing it sometimes because like the food one can buy in Wrocław, like hachapuri, for example. I'm seeing a lot of people call it hachapuri, but some people will have like an issue of remembering this name, so they call it like placek or something like that. Or I even heard like I've even had Gruzienski pizza, Gruzienska pizza. I even heard the other day. So it's like there's something which is from outside, and then we interpret it from our own framework, and then we like make it out like it's maybe something different than one actually is. Because in the end, a Georgian pizza, hachapuri isn't like a Georgian pizza, but anyway, it's like to do with like where we are at the moment, and this is then affects on like how we take the new things. So would you say that your intercultural work is it focused on the day-to-day, so present day concerns, or is it going somewhere? Do you have some kind of like future goals?
Oh, future goal. Well, I didn't think that far yet. But for your question, I think my goal is more, that's what I say. What I see myself as, like I'm a farmer. I put the seed, I spread the seed in people's mind.
Yeah.
That whenever I have a chance to talk to them, either in a workshop or over the beer, whatever any occasion I have, like I put my words, and then they listen. And you don't know, as a farmer, you don't know when these things will grow up or to bear fruit. You have no idea. But I believe that it is very necessary for everyone to encounter with people from different culture. Doesn't matter that I have to go out from my country or I meet people within my country that they are from different corner of the world. I believe this is very necessary for people to have different exchange experience, because this is healthy. This is healthy, and in this way, that for example, to say the impact of cultural clashes actually makes me to think, how am I going to live with people who is very different from myself? And so all those impacts make me to think, and also makes me to reflect my own value. It makes me to think the so-called traditional value in my culture, or the traditional value which I grew up with, do they still have the same value now in the society? We're facing 21st century, technology changes, the global border has been diminished. Even now, the pandemic, we've been locked down in our own places. Do I still have to hold upon on certain values simply because they are a tradition? Am I going to, am I happy enough to embrace new things to myself? Like I take Polish values, some of them, into my life, even though my passport says otherwise. So instead of giving people things, selling people things, I also receive their feedback. So this is both ways. So that's why I never set up a long-term goal when I have a chance to meet people.
So it's like the process of like the contact. In fact, excuse me, wait a minute. So it's the process of the contact. I mean, the word contact in English doesn't really strong enough. The word like Begegnung in German is like when people, and like encounter, when people encounter each other, there is something then happens. So the way I understand is like the utopia for you is kind of the process of the interaction between people. And the thing is, I find with this, I mean, the German feminist bigger Drommelsprache, sorry, I said that in a Scouse way, Drommelsprache, said that the thing is that when one person meets someone else who is, let's say, from another country, born in another country, unconsciously, even without going into dialogue, unconsciously, it makes them question their own upbringing. It makes them question what for them is normal. So even if I don't like, say, talk with someone and I say, oh, so you have doner kebab, you have pierogi, you have barsht, or I want fish and chips, I want to have chips with vinegar on it, without even having these kind of more maybe even superficial conversations, there is this kind of like deeper thing, even without talking about this, where this person is foreign and there's this unconscious process. Well, maybe the way I do it is not right, but maybe people are not always aware that they're having this this process going on within them, because it's like an unconscious thing, and this can then lead to aversion. So you're not liking this kind of whole questioning of it. Is this your experience, or am I just making this all up now?
What I see is this actually, we do this all the time. Doesn't matter who is doing it, everybody is doing it. This is the example I have, that whenever I see a people who is like approaching me to my direction, in a million seconds, I already have processing so many information. All those information is helping me to decide how am I going to approach into that person. Is he posing a threat to my life, or is he a friendly person? Is he coming hostile or not? But those things are kind of intuition information for us. Like, in order to survive every fight, every potential fight, we need to gather information. But nothing can be proved until we really contact each other, unless we really speak to each other. And that usually it could be, hi, how are you? Cześć, jak się masz? It could be like that. Or it could be, what are you doing here in my country? It could be very hostile, but nothing can be proved until we really have a contact. That is why I always have kind of a belief that everybody deserves a chance to talk to, even they may look very hostile to me or for any reason. I believe everybody deserves a chance to talk to. That is my my belief, and this is also the attitude I have when I'm in Poland. Whenever I go, somebody maybe look at me with like a very huge question mark, like they are trying to place me in the category of their mind, like what kind of guy I am, where I'm from, what colors of skin should be like that. They may be sometimes thinking that this guy is from Vietnam or from Thailand, but he looks so light. His skin looks so light, or he looks so big. Like they don't know, and I love to see their confused face. And that's the fun. And when I speak with them, they find out, oh, you're from here. How are you doing? Like this. But, yeah, that the magic happen unless we talk to each other.
Now, with regards to kind of the focus that you have, is there any like example you have like in films or TV programs that for you like illustrate well like the kind of focus you have?
My favorite one, if we use mass media, for example, my favorite one will be Star Trek. I don't know if you are familiar with this TV production and film as well.
To tell the truth, I watched the first one with the original, so with William Shatner and all that, and then I watched the one with the Next Generation. But all the other ones I've not seen, and Babylon, whatever it's called, I've not seen any of these. I've seen some of the films though.
For the Star Trek, actually the philosophical thinking, I would maybe it's not philosophical, but philosophical thinking of the producer. Actually, his personal belief is also like kind of like a utopian, but his production about utopian is like we live in the same. We are, for example, we are all earthly. We are all from planet Earth, and when we are on the starship going to other galaxies, we encounter two different species, which is not from planet Earth. And sometimes the starship crew come together as a Earth utopian version. They believe certain things. They believe what is right, what is wrong. And when they encounter two other species from different galaxies, it could be at the moment like a right versus wrong, good versus evil. Very often the conflict starts like this. Two different things clash into. But at the end of the episode or at the end of the movie, usually is they talk to each other. They understand what is the reason they see something right or wrong. But they are not convincing each other, you need to accept mine, or I need to accept you. They acknowledge there's differences, but they will do nothing until they really understood that the differences is not threatening their life. So this is every time I see the episode, I always see that they are trying to solve every conflict through diplomatic way as much as possible. Sometimes they need to get involved with the showing of the power, the dominance of technology is always like this. But in their mind, especially the captain, the figure of the captain is always trying to solve things in diplomatic way as much as possible. And I love that society. It could be my vision of utopian is because like even between earthlings, they don't really force people to to give up anything. Although they have a kind of code of conduct, what is the federation in that time, in that TV production? What is the value of the federation belief? What federation stands for? But under the umbrella, everybody were encouraged to be themselves, to keep what is important for them as kind of religion's belief, ritual, faith, or everything. And I feel the longer I live, like the longer I grow up, the longer I like this concept. Like, for example, me and the other half, we are from different cultures, different ages, different languages. And every time we are talking, from her point of view, she simply provides a possibility to do the things in different way. But when I heard this kind of things, my instinct, like the bubble is, she is challenging my opinion. She is challenging my authority in the family. And then when I have this level of kind of, I have been challenged, my emotion will change. I will become more like aggressive. I want to defend my own thoughts. However, I would totally block myself from listening her rationally. And if I continue to do that way, it definitely will lead to argument or loud voice argument like that. But if I can stop growing these emotions in my brain and remember that people from the other side of the spectrum is simply provide an opportunity to engage. It's not about challenging me per se. It's simply to provide a communication opportunity. Then everything will be easier to solve. Then I will simply listen, drop down all those guards and walls, listen, think, and then you can react. So I live in the cycle every day. Even though we've been together 10 years, but it still happened like this. It could be she could just come in a moment and then she say something. I will start to react like like that. It never gets old. But this is the reality I live. I think between Polish people, it could be the same. Yeah. So utopian for me is really a mind that be ready to embrace differences.
I think the issue is like where in the mind, because I'm reading a book at the moment and I can't remember its name, like the Chimp Paradox or something is called. I'll have to put a link in the description to this video later. It's about the guy saying that we have the different parts of the brain, and we have the reptilian part of the brain, and the reptilian is like the basic emotion, and this is often the first part of the brain which takes in information from outside, and from this deals with the question, is this situation a threat or not? So it's from this, maybe the aggression, the defensiveness can come. And the point he is making in the book is that we need to bring things more to the front, and a very unscientific word, the front part of the brain, or the front cortex, or whatever it's called. So the adult, to use transactional analysis term, the part of the brain which is kind of managing the emotions and dealing more with ration and being able to take things in. And to go with the Star Trek a bit further, it's like almost the reptilian brain is maybe, have I got this word right, the Borg? The Borg, the people who are not interested in dialogue of others, they just want to dominate others, yeah? And, they turn Picard into one of them, and he's like, the thing of assimilation, because this brings us to the issue of assimilation, which is relevant for intercultural concerns, because sometimes the talk about intercultural issues is of integration, but sometimes integration is being mistaken for assimilation. So they are different. We have to make them like us so they can fit here. What do you think about that?
At the very beginning, this your question reminds me that when I first came to Europe to live, I don't really show my cultural differences to people. What I say means I try to eat everything like what Polish people eat. I never emphasize that how much like the rice, how important in my life. I never emphasize that. Among my friends, I always eat whatever pasta, fish and fries, those things. I never emphasize to say, "Hey, guy, I'm from Taiwan. I need rice. I need this every day." No, I never emphasize it. And I thought that this part of the picture wasn't very important for me, because my priority is to fit in the society, fit into Poland, fit into the international environment. And sometimes I see people emphasize so much, like for example, my Indian friend every day talking about how much they need to eat a curry, how much they need a chili every day. I just feel that's normal for them, but I don't do that, because I don't want to grow this kind of picture in my friend's mind, like this guy always eat rice. Like later they will make fun of me. I don't know why I did that. And it turns out that after some time in the recent year, I start to feel what I am, where I'm from. Besides my look, my face look different from Poland. What else I'm different? And then I start to emphasize on the culinary culture in my world. I start to share what I eat, what I do. Even I'm from Taiwan, we still try to make Korean kimchi like this. And to make dumpling from scratch. These things makes me realize that to live in another society, I don't have to eliminate my differences. I don't need to emphasize, because nobody cares. Nobody cares if eating rice is going to endanger Polish society. Yeah, I don't know if you can understand me. My very existence in Warsaw doesn't pose any threat to the world outside, next to my apartment. It doesn't do anything. Even there are 1 million, maybe 1 million of Taiwanese people live in Poland, that could be a kind of issue. But I always forgot that the society where I live actually have the capacity to embrace me, to accept me. So maybe this is also a way to reflect that Polish society is not so conservative as most people would thought. Yeah, because people nowadays, pay attention to the news, what the conservative party trying to do, Catholic Church trying to do, but to the bottom, to the people on the daily life, people has amazing capacity to embrace differences. Yeah, so this is my reflection of my 10 years life in Poland. I can say that much. Yeah.
Now, I don't know Star Trek as well as you, but I do like my sci-fi. And there's this pretty popular film, Men in Black, and with Will Smith and
Men in Black, yes,
the other guy, and there's a character.
Jones. Yeah.
Sorry.
The other guy is Tommy Lee Jones.
That was it. Yeah.
That was Agent K. Yeah.
I mixed him up with the name of the drummer, Tommy Lee, who's in Motley Crue. So there is this interesting character in Men in Black, and I don't know which other films, called Griffin. And Griffin, he is played by this is why I'm not a film reviewer.
He's from the so-called fifth dimension world.
Exactly. You know, he's played by the guy who was also in the Boardwalk Empire anyway. And he's a very interesting character for me because he sees all kinds of possibilities like all at the same time. And so he's there, and because of that he's able to advise the Men in Black, whatever their characters are, he's able to advise them about, oh, this can happen, help people to prepare for this. And one of the inspiration, I mean, the main motivation, but why I started doing the Utopian conversations was that I was attending a SIETAR France event with Milton Bennett, who was talking about the future of interculturalism. And there is like the question then, if interculturalism could shape society to go into a different direction, would it be doing the things it's doing now, such as the things you've been talking about, so getting people to come into dialogue with each other, talking about things that are important to them, learning calligraphy or with food, or would something be either done differently, or would something be added to that in order to bring interculturalism into maybe an intercultural utopia? Because the way you were talking earlier is very much like a something which is like now.
Yes.
I want to push on this. I mean, I'm totally happy with this answer. Yeah, utopia being in the here and now. I think this is a very valuable thing to say. I just want to maybe tease this from you, see what I can get.
My understanding about humanity, the evolution or evolution is somehow it never happened naturally.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the attitude I have toward everything is not because I was born in this way. No, this is through learning. This is through learning, reading different things, experience different things, even being hate sometimes. But I learned how to hate people and even not to hate people. Everything is through learning. The process is definitely artificial. And for interculturalists, this is a kind of fancy word when you just say interculture, like kind of connecting two culture. Like me is the bridge to connect cultures, to cross over. Like I may be a bridge to help people from Europe to cross over to Asia, vice versa. Or maybe I could be the bridge to bring people to go to the third culture, which I has no part in.
Mm-hmm.
But the future of this interculturalism, I believe, the most important things is the experience, the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to have experience, to experience something. So in my opinion, the future of our society is very much based on how many experience we all have. And then probably we can lift up ourselves to another level. If I never experience certain things firsthand, for example, if I only read books, the influence will have not so much power or impact on my life unless I actually live that place. When I live in Europe, the first time I was in Czech Republic. And before I went to Czech Republic, I read books, even the most famous book from Mira Kundera, those books like Kafka, Metamorphosis. I read those things. But for me, that was just a literature. That was just a literature description about the culture of the people, the mentality of Czech people, the mentality of those times. It could be fictional. But somehow what is writing there is definitely personal experience. But it has nothing to do with me. It helps me nothing to prepare to face Czech Republic. in person. But I went to Czech. I remember those words. I remember those words which they describe, for example, in the literature, say, how beautiful is the Charles Bridge over the Vltava River? How many years, cultures or war that the statues have certain meaning. It never happened to me when I read it, but when I actually live there every day. From my university, I can go through the bridge and go to my dormitory every day for 10 months as I walk in this way. And I start to feel what is Czech? What is the resilient in their mind of Czech people? How do they endure the wartime? How do they endure the communism domination? How do they survive day to day? And I hope that in the future, we can have this luxury. Seriously, for a lot of people, experience the culture at first hand is a luxury thing. Not so many people actually can spend time to live in another country for more than 2 weeks, even though to live there 10 years. But in order to reach to that level, like people really embrace each other, eating sushi in Warsaw is not enough. You need to be there. You need to be in Japan. Live there. Feel the clash. And then you will know how exactly you will respond to that clash, how you respond to the conflict. And then you survive. And then experience has an imprint on you. And then you could be ready for another challenge. So the first hand of experience something new is really, really crucial.
I mean, to bring, because I like to bring like a political economy into this. I mean, the simple ability to go to other countries and not just be there on a holiday, but have like a longer period of time. This has something to do with one's own income. Can one afford to do it? Can one afford not to do the work that one be doing back when we was before? Is one able to get into the country without having to have many hurdles? There's all kinds of other issues which come into this, but I try to keep these utopian conversations to half an hour. I think we're at something like 35 minutes now. So I have the impression we could really talk a lot more about different things here. But I would like to, so then thank you, Kuang-Yi. If people are interested in your work, then they will be, because you said the other day, they'll be able to contact you via your email address. So you can then give it up to me later. I'll put it in the message like underneath. And yeah, so thanks a lot, Kuang-Yi. I really do believe that the kind of work that you do is not just like producing a bridge between cultures, but also is a bridge to the future, whatever this future is going to be. So thanks a lot for coming. It's been a pleasure. And don't forget, everyone, and I point the right way this time, subscribe to the channel or Facebook or whatever, however what you're watching this video. So bye, everyone.
Very happy to talk to you, Ian, today. Have a good day.
That's great.